Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special St. Valentine's Day edition of Faith, Lies, and Confusion. As always, I'm your host, Godless Reggie. How's everyone out there doing tonight? I'm okay. I decided to do a stream about St. Valentine's. I always knew that St. Valentine's was a thing, a day, obviously, as a kid growing up. I thought it was mostly about passing out candy and being with the person that you loved or you had a crush on or you liked. I really didn't know that there was an exact backstory to it, but I knew that it was something to it. I thought it was more of mythical things, but it's coming to my attention that there may be a little bit of truth into this story. If there is, we're gonna get to the bottom of it today. Um, Again, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're located at. I know it's kind of late. Um, I know most people are with their loved ones out on dates, but if you're single and don't got nothing better to do, like me, I'm glad that you're here. So I'm gonna start it off with a little bit of reading. Do that first. As always, I like to cross-reference my topics. Use a couple of different sources. I use Google. Everyone uses that. I use Wikipedia and I use Chat GPT as well. Sometimes I'll take it to Google Scholar if it's necessary, but I don't think we're gonna do all that today. So let's see what we can find. I'll start with Wikipedia. Let's see what it says. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, Saint Valentine or Saint Valentine or San Valentine, depending on which language you speak, was a third century Roman saint commemorated in Western Christianity on February 14th and Eastern Orthodoxy on July 6th. From the Middle Ages, from the High Middle Ages, his feast day has been associated with a tradition and courtly love. He is also a patron saint of tourney, epilepsy, and bookkeepers. Saint Valentine's was a clergyman, either a priest or a bishop in the Roman Empire, who ministered to persecuted Christians. He was martyred and his body buried on the Via Flaminia on February 14th, which has been observed as a feast of Saint Valentine Day, or what we call Saint Valentine's Day in this country, since at least the 8th century. Relics of him were kept in the Church of Catacombs of San Valentino in Rome, which remained an important pilgrim site throughout the Middle Ages until the relics of St. Valentine were transferred to the Church of Santa Paracide during the pontificate. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, of Nicholas IV. His skull, crowned with flowers, is exhibited in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedian, Rome. Other relics of him are in Whitefriar Street, Carmelite Church, Dublin, Ireland, a popular place of pilgrimage, especially on Saint Valentine's Day, for those seeking love. At least two different Saint Valentines are mentioned in the early uh, martyrologies for Saint Valentine of Rome, along with Saint Valentine of Terni. Abstracts of the acts of the two saints were in nearly every church and monastery in Europe, according to Professor Jack B. Orrich of the University of Kansas. Well, to me, that just sounds like a whole bunch of blah, 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 blah. I'm going to see if I can get down to the nitty gritty of it. I'm going to play a video and see what I can find about it. Give me 1 second. A lot of these videos I have aren't really long, so normally I'll speed them up. This one I'm not because it's not, so long and repetitive to the point where it gets uninteresting. So give me one moment.
For many people, Valentine's Day is all about romance.
If you ask the person in the street, what does Valentine's Day mean to you? All it means is a heart-shaped box of chocolates and a nice dinner with your with your beloved and sending cards and so forth. And then if they did know about a Saint Valentine, they probably wouldn't realize that he was a priest in the late 3rd century in Rome who was actually martyred for the faith. Very often legends will develop from real facts. There's that little phrase in J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings where he says, history became legend and legend became myth.
The legend of St. Valentine is a story that is rooted in fact.
There are three stories surrounding him, and they all agree on a number of issues. It seemed that he was born in
Okay, I wanted to pause that for a second because how they're saying it's a story that's rooted in fact. That's kind of what I was trying to insinuate when I first started the live stream. I'm noticing that, well, from me reading it, um, that some of the stuff about him is based on a possible person. Now, I'm not saying that this person was a real person, but it's kind of like a folk tale, like if a person was to chop down a tree or something like that. If so many people tell this story, it could turn into he chopped down every tree into the forest. So it may have became bigger than life. I honestly don't know because when I read up about it, it was very brief what I read, and I wanted to kind of learn on the fly and watch the videos. So let me put it back on.
226 in a tiny little city called Terni in Umbria in Italy, and that he was either a priest or a bishop. Valentine apparently lived during the reign of the Emperor Claudius II. He's sometimes referred to as Claudius Gothicus. Now, this emperor did not reign for very long, maybe a year and a half. Rome at this point in time was really a cesspool of immoral behavior. Pedophilia was rife, sexual promiscuity was rife. And one of the great witnesses of the early church is that they stood up for the value of a godly marriage, where sexuality was channeled into its God given boundaries, and it would become a witness of what enduring love could look like.
During his reign, Claudius issued an edict that made marriage illegal.
There was an invasion of Goths towards Rome, and they needed a lot of people to.
So I wanted to stop it right there again. That's a typical religious language that I hear. No matter what the topic is, they're like, "Oh, in this period, there was a lot of sin. There was a lot of immoral acts and all that shit." Man, it had always been like that. There's never been a period of time in history, no matter what the topic is, that you feel as evil that wasn't going on at that time. So I don't understand when people are like during this time it was so this, that, and the third, and people were doing. Man, it's like this now. It was like that then. It was like that before then. But that's just my opinion on that. I don't know why he's pinpointing on that because it's still like that today.
To go to war. And it seemed that the rule was that once you were married, you were given freedom not to go to war. And Valentine would not only convert the people, but secretly marry them so that they could indeed stay at home.
Valentine was arrested and brought to Rome. While he was being held captive, he presented the gospel to his jailer, the judge Asterius.
So the judge said to him, well, if this indeed is true, I want you to prove it. And he brought one of his adopted daughters, who happened to be blind, the one legend says. And what happened is that Valentinus, or Valentine here, laid his hands upon this girl, and she was healed immediately.
Another legend says that before he was executed, he left a note for the girl signed, "Your Valentine." Some say this led to the practice of sending valentines on February 14th, the day he was beheaded.
All the legends seem to agree that Valentine was martyred on the 14th of February in 269.
Therefore, that was the day associated with.
So again, I have to stop right there because I'm a little confused. If he was put to the test of the gospel or the word of God and he proved it to him, why did you still kill him? It seemed like it would make more sense that you would have killed him because he tried to perform this shit and it didn't happen. They're like, oh, see, this is what you get, blasphemy, boop. Or whatever, because I don't know their particular religion or their beliefs, or at that time, uh, it doesn't really necessarily say because this story is a legend. We can go out on a limb and say that maybe because of the time frame and where it was at, they probably would have been Christian. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And the really reason why it doesn't make any sense is because why is he going to prison spreading the word? You would think that 300 something AD, that would have been the third century, excuse me, whatever the time frame. anything from Jesus' death till now, they would have been Christian, especially in the Roman Empire. So I think that kind of contradicts. Well, I know it does in a way.
with him when the church would celebrate and thank God for his life.
So Valentine's Day didn't start out as a romantic holiday.
We do need to recognize that this day, the 14th of February, was already connected with Valentine from the 4th century, already from that time onward. And right from the beginning, this celebration had more to do than just a celebration of romantic love. And the church's commitment to Valentine to honor this example of Christian marriage and sacrifice and martyrdom and the healing of other people and the spread of the gospel was from the beginning a commitment to what Christian marriage could be like in our world and the message that it brings to a broken world.
Valentine's Day represents more than flowers and candy. It's about what's in our hearts and the heart of Christ.
When we see those hearts on Valentine's Day, we can remember that that heart is also
Okay. So what I can gather from that last couple of statements, that this video was created by believers. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being a believer, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with making content or even, bringing up subjects or whatever. I'm glad you did make the contact because I'm actually, borrowing it for a little bit, so that's cool. But my point of bringing this up is bias. They just said, "Oh, well, the point of all of this is the love in your heart. Ain't shit in your heart." That's a lie. There's nothing in your heart but blood. Love is in your mind. So that's the biasness that I see, and that's when they start speaking Christianese. Right? They're not really speaking real English at this point.
has some connections back to the heart of Jesus and to God's love for us. And we can remember that the source of all love and the source of self-sacrifice and love for each other is rooted in God's love, and in the witness that Saint Valentine actually made for that love.
So I'm trying to get this off the screen. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. Give me 1 second, y'all. Screen. So I wanted to stop that because again, they're just going on and they're just preaching, right? They're just, they're not even talking about it no more. They're just like, okay, well, we got the point across. Okay, but you need to love and you need to come to church and the love in your heart and Jesus, man, bullshit. Keep it real. All I wanted to know is about the actual person, right? You don't have to have a church sermon at the end. I tried to stop it at like the 4 minute mark, but I clicked the wrong part because I didn't want to hear the rest of it. And I hope nobody heard the rest of it. I damn near ended my stream try to get it off. What's up, NJ? How you doing? So I'm gonna do a little bit more reading. Give me 1 second, folks. And thanks everybody for stopping by. Anybody that came by to check me out. Okay, so Saint Valentine of Rome was martyred on February 14th, AD 269. The Feast of Saint Valentine, also known as Saint Valentine's Day, was established by Pope Gelasius the first in AD 496 to celebrate on February 14th in honor of the Christian martyr. February 14th is Saint Valentine's Day in the Lutheran calendar of saints. Valentine is remembered in the Church of England with the commemoration on February 14th. The Church of England had him in its pre-Reformation calendars and restored his mention as bishop and martyr in its 1661 through 62 book of Common Prayer, and most Protestants of the Anglican, communion celebrate his feast. The Catholic Church includes him in its official list of saints. The Roman martyrology. Saint Valentine was also in the general Roman calendar for celebration as a simple feast until 1955, when Pope Pius XII reduced as such feast to just a commemoration within another celebration. The 1969 revision of the general Roman calendar removed this mention, leaving it for inclusion only in local calendars such as that of the Balls in Malta. His commemoration was still in the 1962 Roman Missal and is thus observed also by those who, in the circumstances indicated and Pope Benedict the 16th, 2007, Motor Proprio Samaron Pontific, I can't pronounce that word, Pontificium, used that addition. July 6th is the date on which the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates the Roman Presbyter Valentine on July 30th. It observes the feast of Hieromartyr Valentine, Bishop of Inter-Roman. Members of the Greek Orthodox Church named Valentinos that are male or Valentinas who are female may observe their name day on the Western ecclesiastical calendar date of February 14th. English 18th century antiquarians Alban Butler and Pope Douche, noting the obscurity of St. Valentine's identity, suggested that Valentine's Day, was created as an attempt to supersede the pagan holiday of Lupercalia mid-February in Rome. This idea has lately been dismissed by academics and researchers such as Jack B. Orich of University of Kansas, Henry Anzar Kelly of the University of California, Los Angeles, and Michael Matthew Kaler of Macquarie University. Many of the current legends that characterize St. Valentine were invented in the 14th century in England, notably by Geoffrey Chaucer in his Circle, when the feast day on February 14th first became associated with romantic love. Ulrich charges that the traditions associated with Valentine's Day, documented in Geoffrey Chaucer's Parliament of Fossils and set in the fictional context of an old tradition, did not exist before Chaucer. He argues that the speculative explanation of sentimental customs posing as historical facts had their origins among 18th century antiquaries, notably Alban Butler, the author of Butler's Lives of Saints, and have been perpetuated even by respectable modern scholars. In the French 14th century manuscript Illumination from Avis des Saints, illustration above, Saint Valentine, Bishop of Terni, oversees the construction of his ballistic, at Terni. There is no suggestion here that the bishop was a was a patron of lovers. During the Middle Ages, it was believed that birds paired in mid-February. This was the association with the romance of Valentine. Although these legends differ, Valentine's Day is widely recognized as the day of romance and devotion. Okay, so what I'm getting all that from all that shit that I just read, that a lot of it sound like blah 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 blah, even to me as I was reading it. But what scholars are saying is a lot of the shit about Valentine's Day, the myths, the legends, and all that shit is basically stuff that was made up in the 18th century in England. To me, it's quite strange that they have a expiration date for Saint Valentine, a martyr date for it, but they don't have they don't know exactly how old he is. They don't know when he was born. That's kind of strange. You need to capitalize and give 10% and something let the church and the family will. How can you change history from a seat in the Americas? Correct. Correct. That's true. That's true. But a lot of the myths and legends, they're just adding together. I take back something I said earlier. You might not have been here earlier, NJ, but what I had said was, if the stories about Saint Valentine are true, about him being incarcerated and him having to prove who he was, and then him healing the person or whatever he did, um, and spreading the word. I was saying that I don't think that at that time frame he would have had to have spread the gospel. I think they would have already known. I kind of take that back because I forgot that at one point the Romans were pagans as well, and at that time some of those surviving members could have probably still been around. So I honestly don't know. I think I look at this whole story as a myth. However you look at it, I don't look at it as factual or anything. But I do think that there are some portions of facts in this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know as to what part. I know he didn't heal anybody or have any magical powers or anything like that. He definitely didn't do that. I'm gonna play another video. Hopefully, this is from a different point of view, and not from the same side, because it'll probably say the same exact thing.
We all know the version of St. Valentine's Day that we celebrate in America these days. February 14th, the date on the calendar to send a card, chocolate, and flowers to someone we're romantically interested in. But what's the history surrounding the first St. Valentine's Day? Who is St. Valentine anyway? To get an answer, I traveled to Dublin, Ireland to start my quest. At least 3 different martyrs for Christianity named Valentine were granted sainthood in the Roman Catholic Church. Collectively, they were given February 14th, as a feast day, going back as far as the 3rd century. February 14th is also celebrated as St. Valentine's Day in other Christian denominations. For instance, it's a commemoration day in the calendar of saints in the Anglican Communion, and a feast day in the calendar of saints of the Lutheran Church. I've traveled here to Dublin, Ireland, to learn a bit more about the Christian history related to St. Valentine's Day. According to tradition, one of the best known stories about St. Valentine comes from Europe during the 3rd century. The Roman Empire had been at war for many years. Its power was declining, especially its military, and more soldiers were deserting. In fact, many young men stopped signing up for the army altogether. According to the Roman emperor at the time, Claude II, prospective soldiers were more interested in women and having families than in fighting for the empire. In an effort to solve the problem, Cruel Claude, as he was then nicknamed, simply outlawed weddings throughout his realm. But a priest named Valentine decided to defy the emperor's decree. In secret, he encouraged young lovers to meet him so they could be blessed with a wedding and the sacrament of marriage in the church.
Oh, it just all hit me. They ain't nothing but some draft dodgers. Shame, shame.
Eventually, Claude heard about these secret weddings and put Valentine in jail. There, the priest befriended the blind daughter of his prison guard. In the end, Valentine was sentenced to death. According to tradition, right before his execution on February 14th in the year 270, he prayed for the blind girl, and she received her sight. He also gave her a heart-shaped letter with a blessing signed, "From your Valentine." When the Roman Empire collapsed at the end of the 5th century, Valentine was declared a saint by the Catholic Church for his sacrifice in the defense of love and the sacrament of marriage. Although some of this history is based in tradition, it's a great story that supports the establishment of St. Valentine's Day as a religious feast day on February 14th. This is Whitefriars Street Church in Dublin. It's a Roman Catholic church maintained by the Carmelite order. I'm here because Whitefriars Street Church is noted for having the bones of one of the St. Valentines. They were donated to the church in the 19th century by Pope Gregory XVI and moved here from their previous location at a cemetery in Rome. Although St. Valentine's Day was first established as a feast day in the Catholic calendar of saints, it was removed from the general church calendar in 1969 and relegated to local church calendars. The stated reason, quote, "Though the memorial of St. Valentine is ancient, it is left to particular calendars, since, apart from his name, nothing is really known of St. Valentine except that he was buried in Rome on February 14th.
Yeah, I don't believe that, and that's kind of strange that the stream would end as soon as he got by these mysterious fucking bones and shit. And then how did y'all receive those bones? Did y'all go dig them up, right? And if a person wanted him to be executed for what he was trying to peddle, they're not going to give you the opportunity to go receive what his remains because they know that he's going to be a martyr, right? So they're trying to completely erase the whole situation, right? So that doesn't make any sense, right? And they just was doing all that shit to fucking get out of going to war, which I don't blame them. I mean, I'm not saying that you should go out here and fight or whatever, but you was doing all this, and now you're claiming that it was in the name of love. No, it wasn't. It was in the name of sex. They was wanting sex. They wasn't trying to spread no love. They was tired of being soldiers, fighting out in the war. They wasn't getting no ass. So they was like, this some bullshit. I'm tired of being around a whole bunch of dudes. It's time for me to go. All these ladies is sitting here, whatever young dudes is around, they fucking with them. So why can't I? Well, I gotta be out here fighting for some shit that I don't even believe in. And I don't blame them for that part neither. But another twist to the story that I was thinking about as they was talking, like, he healed the sick girl of her blindness or whatever. So, God is a fucked up individual if that's what happened, right? If the moral of the story is that the girl was healed from her sickness all because he's trying to peddle, this religion or trying to spread the gospel. So you mean to tell me that he gets beheaded as a thank you from God and she gets her vision back? How's that a fair deal from him? Just because we're still talking about him today, I'm pretty sure that he didn't want to get beheaded. We always can make the fucking claim that, oh, well, he went to heaven. The fuck? I don't want that. I don't want my life to end for another motherfucker. I don't want that. I'm not gonna sit there and face execution for that. If you so powerful and you so real, and I'm, spreading your gospel, your word that you supposed to stop them. You feel me? You supposed to stop these motherfuckers from killing me. You so powerful. That's what you supposed to do. But instead, you letting them behead me. And you trying to tell me the fucking moral of the story is that man was trying to spread love and the girl got her vision back, so it's all good. Fuck that. Fuck that. Was his family treated to royalty after that? Is the Valentines, they the royal family of Rome now or something? Nope. Do he get a whole bunch of females in heaven? Nope. Was he, getting these people wives first? Nope. He wasn't getting shit. He ain't getting nothing out the fucking deal. That shit crazy. That just pissed me off. I'm about to read what it said on Chat GPT about the situation because I never went to that source. So give me 1 second. Okay. So Saint Valentine, also known as Saint Valentine of Rome, was a Christian priest in the 3rd century who became associated with love and affection, particularly through the celebration of Valentine's Day. While much of his life is shrouded in mystery, it's believed that Valentine was martyred for his faith around the year 269 AD. One popular story is that Valentine secretly performed marriages for soldiers who were forbidden to marry under Roman Emperor Claudius II, who believed that single men made better soldiers. Valentine's act of defiance ultimately led to his imprisonment and execution. So he was a criminal. He knew what it was, and he decided to do it either way. I don't feel bad for him. Valentine's Day, as we know it today, evolved from both the story of St. Valentine and the tradition of celebrating love in the month of February. Over time, which to me, that says pagan, over time, the day has become associated with romantic love, with the exchange of cards, flowers, and gifts to impress affection. So that's according to Chat GPT. Again, I don't believe any of it. And if that's what he was doing, um he was a criminal and he deserved to, be punished. Okay, let's take it in today's terms, right? If you were a person that was in the United States that was preventing or helping aid people draft dodging, you would definitely go to jail. I'm not gonna say you would be executed. You know what I'm saying? You can be executed for treason. I don't know if that is technically, that's not treason. It's not. But if you're a person that's helping people elude from the military and leave and go AWOL and shit like that, you can be arrested. There's a lot of things. If you're the type of person that's purposely making people ineligible to go to the military, especially in war times, yeah, you're going down. So he was a criminal. I don't see why we celebrating these people just because he went against the system. If it's me now, I'm going to jail. So nothing spectacular. I'm gonna read a little bit more and I'm gonna get out of here because I didn't got pissed off reading some of this shit. I don't know about y'all out there. Give me 1 second and read a little bit more on Wikipedia. Mm, blow up the screen here. I think that's as big as it's gonna get. Okay, so the flower crown alleged skull of Saint Valentine is exhibited in the Basilica of Saint Maria. So, excuse me, Santa Maria in Cosmedia in Rome. Saint Valentine's remains are deposited in Saint Antoine's Church, Madrid, where they have laid since the late 1700s. They were a present from the Pope to the King Carlos IV, who entrusted them to the Order of Poor Clerics Regular of the Mother of God and the POS schools. The relics have been displayed publicly since 1984 and a foundation open to the public at all times in order to help people in need. Whitefriars Street Carmelite Church, Dublin, also houses some relics of St. Valentine. On December 27th, 1835, the Very Reverend Father John Spratt, Master of Sacred Theology to the Carmelite Order in Dublin, was sent to the partial remains of St. Valentine by Cardinal Carlo Abascalchi under the auspices of Pope Gregory the 16th. The relics and the accompanying letter from the Cardinal Odescalchi have remained in the church ever since. The remains, which include a small vessel tinged with his blood, were sent as a token of esteem following the eloquent sermon from Sermon F.R. Pratt have delivered in Rome. On St. Valentine's Day in Ireland, many individuals who seek true love make a Christian pilgrimage to the shrine of St. Valentine in Whitefriars Street Carmelite Church in Dublin, which is said to house the relics of St. Valentine in Rome. They pray at the shrine in hope of finding romance. Therein lies a book in which foreigners and locals have written their prayer requests for love. Another relic was found in 2003 in Prague in the Basilica of St. Peter and St. Paul of SVYSEHRAD. I'm not going to try to stumble through that. St. Valentine's relic can also be found in Slovakia in two cities. The first is Košice, where the relic is placed in an Immaculate Conception, placed in 1720. The second in Novaki, which they had in Church St. Nicholas, and the rare statue of St. Valentine, which was stolen in the 1990s. According to one saved original part of the statue, the new copy was created, which was commemoratively placed in the church in 2000. A silver reliquary containing a fragment of St. Valentine's skull is found in the parish church of St. Mary's Assumption in Chelmo, Poland. Relics can also be found in Mount Tallinn on the Greek island of Lesbos. Another set of relics can also be found in Slavana in the Cathedral of Santa Maria Assunta. Alleged relics of Saint Valentine also lie at the reliquary of Rocamar, Gard, France, in the Saint Stephen's Cathedral, Bayana, and Baslin in Malta, and also in Blessed John Donne Scotch Church in the Gorbals area in Glasgow, Scotland. There's also a gold reliquary bearing in the words Corpus Saint Valentine M at Birmingham Oratory, UK, and one of the side altars of the main church. Oof, that was a lot. So basically, man, he scattered all over the motherfucking world. I don't know if it's really the real person. That shit been passed around. It's all over fucking Europe's different versions of this person. Parts of his head, parts of the statue, gold shit. I don't fucking know. That was a whole lot. But to make a long story short, he's every fucking where. So what I take from this whole story or situation is I think, and this is my personal belief, and I'm gonna say this before I get out of here. I think that Saint Valentine, however you want to pronounce it, I think that he may have been a real Catholic priest that existed um in the 200s AD. I think that he was probably committing criminal acts. I don't know if he was actually martyred because of it. I know he didn't cure anybody's blindness. I know he didn't do that. Uh, and I think that the story just turned into just a folk tale that just went wild, right? I remember I went and seen Braveheart on Christmas when I was a kid, right? And I remember when William Wallace was telling the people who he was, and they were like, "No fucking way, William Wallace is 7 foot fucking tall," and all that. Once the story gets passed around so many times, and this is in the same generation, right? If we're talking about thousands of years now or hundreds of years, whichever one, man, this story can get turned wild. And I think that's basically what we have here, right? I mean, it's cool. You know, as a child, I got a lot of good candy, a couple hugs and kisses, when I was a kid. When I was an adult, I may have had some fun, on the day, but it's not nothing real. I'm glad that I learned about it. I'm glad that he actually, was a real person. But that's basically it. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Let me put some of NJ's comments on here. Thanks again, NJ, for stopping by as well. Saving marriage. Yeah, right. That was draft dodging at its finest right there. Exactly. And the church kept not paying for the brides they wanted. True that. True that. Anything written to erase the fact that a king of kings was a woman? Possibly. Um, I don't know though, because again, the history in those times, man, it just gets erased, and then new shit gets added, then it gets erased, then they find out these new other ideas, like, oh yeah, let's take this idea and add it to it. So when it comes to this set of people, the Romans and shit like that, it's hard to believe any fucking thing that is being said referring to these people, because they just make up shit and then they mix it with mythology. It gets confusing after a while. To me, excommunication priest saint once did. Yeah, I can see that. That's something that could possibly happen. Like the story is actually, pretty believable. Truthfully, it's pretty believable, but the martyr part isn't. Like it just seemed like he's just a criminal, and that they making him seem like he's somebody special now. Looking forward to seeing the granddaughter pics covered in chocolate. I know you didn't do your homework yet. Oh no, 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 definitely not. Like I said, a lot of times with these now NJ, what I try to do is I try to learn on the fly. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to. Well, it's good to know things ahead of time, but a lot of times when you go into it without knowing anything about it, you don't have a bias towards it. Like how I feel about it now that I just sat here and read this shit, and that's why I kept playing it over and over and over so I can really get the gist of it. I feel completely different about Valentine's Day now. I just feel like it was just a dude just was running around just like, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do, and he got the business for that shit. And now they acting like he's somebody fucking special, and he's not. So, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Thank you again, NJ. I'll be back Sunday. I don't know if I got a topic yet. I think I had something that we were talking about. I just can't remember exactly what it is. But I'll definitely be back Sunday around church time with more faith, lies, and confusion. I want to thank everybody again for stopping by on this Valentine's Day. Um, Good night, and thanks again. If not, catch me Wednesday on AAA Podcast Sports or the Product of the 80s podcast on Fridays as well. I'm about to cut on the music, y'all. Good night.